from Romans chapter 12, verses 9 through 21. Love must be sincere. Hate what is evil. Cling to what is good. Be devoted to one another in brotherly love. Honor one another above yourselves. Never be lacking in zeal, but keep your spiritual fervor, serving the Lord. Be joyful in hope, patient in affliction, faithful in prayer. Share with the Lord's people who are in need. Practice hospitality. Bless those who persecute you. Bless and do not curse. Rejoice with those who rejoice. Mourn with those who mourn. Live in harmony with one another. Do not be proud, but be willing to associate with people of low position. Do not be conceited. Do not repay anyone evil for evil. Be careful to do what is right in the eyes of everyone. If it is possible, as far as it depends on you, live at peace with everyone. Do not take revenge, my dear friends, but leave room for God's wrath. For it is written, "It is mine to avenge. I will repay," says the Lord. On the contrary, if your enemy is hungry, feed him. If he is thirsty, give him something to drink. In doing this, you will heap burning coals on his head. Do not overcome by evil, but overcome evil with good. And our second reading is from Ephesians chapter 6, verses 1 through 3. Children, obey your parents in the Lord, for this is right. Honor your father and mother, which is the first commandment with a promise, so that it may go well with you and that you may enjoy long life on the earth.
and the lives we live inspire them to obey. Oh, may all who come behind us find us faithful. Oh, may all who come behind us find us
Thank you, Eli. When I knew that you were going to be singing, that was the song I knew I wanted to have sung. And it sounds better out of your voice than even Steve Green. So, and thank you so much, and thank you. As many of you know, I was born into a very dysfunctional family. My mom and my dad were only 22 and 23 when I was born. I was the third boy of 4. Busy home. To say the least, it's busy, and I have very fond memories of spending most weekends with my grandparents so that my parents could enjoy some downtime without us kids being underfoot. Some of my favorite childhood memories actually were at my maternal grandparents' home, sitting in front of a new invention called a color television. And many of you can share your memories of your first time seeing one as well. Our home, we had a little tiny black and white that just kept rolling, and all the snow pictures, and it looked like snow all the time coming down. So to get a beautiful, crisp, black color television, it was actually beautiful. It was huge. It probably was this big, but it felt like it was this big. And we loved, all of us boys loved sitting down, and my grandfather would give us little bottles of 7-Up with straws and eclairs. And we would sit and we'd watch the Ed Sullivan Show every week. And I love that show. I don't know why, but it's something that has very special memories of those particular grandparents. I remember that's the way I was introduced to the Beatles. That's the way most of us were introduced to the Beatles, but many other groups as well. But there's one particular group that I really enjoyed watching from time to time. It was the Plate Spinners. Do you remember the Plate Spinners? They'd come out with about 3, 4, 5, sometimes even up to maybe 10 plates. And they'd take these plates and they'd spin them one at a time. They'd get on these little tiny sticks. I don't know how they connected them to the table, but they'd spin them, and then they'd put another one up and another one, and they keep going down all the way back and forth. And when this one was about ready to, when this one was being spun, I was yelling and screaming from my television set, and it's like they heard me because I was telling them that was about ready to fall, and they'd come back and say, y'all know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
You've all watched it. It's fascinating to watch it because what they would do is all of them, boop, 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 and they'd start stacking them, and they'd be down, and we'll go, how in the world did they do that? We don't see that very much anymore. But yet we live it out every day. Our lives are very similar to being plate spinners. I remember when I was a young man straight out of college, I was spinning 3 plates. One was my new job as a teacher. Boy, that was a hard plate to spin. Now teaching is so much easier than it was. That first 2, 3, 4 years I spent, and we paid those teachers so little those first few years, I don't understand why most people don't just get up and leave. I was spinning that plate called work. I was also spinning a plate called work and ministry. I was very actively involved in our church, helping leading the youth group. So that's a whole nother plate. So the kids would call me Mr. Harrison in school, would call me Stan at church. It was very confusing, but it was a wonderful experience being part of that. And then I also had just my own personal life. I had a lot of things going on in my own personal life, but these 3 plates, I was able to keep them spinning. I was able to keep them spinning, not with all with great success, but the plates never broke. Then a few years later, I got married. Oh boy. Taking these 3 and this one, that was a lot of work to keep those plates spinning. Because it takes a lot of work. I think a lot of people think that when they get married, that everything gets easier. I think some things do, but most things get harder. And it takes any relationship, no matter how healthy that relationship is. In fact, the more healthy relationships are the harder ones, because it takes that much dedication to make it work. So, and then, to make things even more crazy, we had children, right? We had children, and these plates make those look easy. because there's so much work to keep these spinning because of their size and just their attention and the needs that they need. And sure enough, later on, those plates turn into young children in elementary school. And so again, they get a little easier. My daughter just delivered our second grandchild. And I'm so excited because I get to go down next month to see this little plate. It's amazing to watch her spin this plate. Because she was actually modeled by what we did with her. And I hear honor thrown my way all the time from my daughter as well as from my son-in-law, saying what amazing amount of work it is to keep these plates spinning, these small ones spinning. And then they attribute that back to the work that both my ex-wife and I did. The crazy thing is that those plates become this. You know what this is? It's a teenager. Yeah. They don't spin very well at all. They're very, very difficult. And the crazy thing is that my life is dedicated to work with teenagers day in and day out. And so even though I was spinning these plates at work as a high school teacher and having high school, well, by the time I was doing my kids were high school, I was a missionary, but maybe that's what made it easier. I was spinning plates at work and my children were young. But at least I knew what was to look forward. I knew what was coming. But I was never prepared for my own kids' plates turning into these little platters. But there's one more set of plates that we need to talk about. Our parents. Through all the time that I was growing up, I still had these two plates to spin. My mom, she was an amazing woman. She dedicated her life to her family at a very, very young age, but she never wanted to be a mom. She made it very clear. When she got older and I was able to chat with her, she never wanted to be a mom. It was thrown upon her as a responsibility that she took, but she never really wanted to do it. My dad wanted to be a golfer. He was really, really good. He never wanted to be a father either. And so here are these two people thrown together in marriage back in those days, not wanting to be able to be parents, and yet there's 4 boys underfoot. It was a lot of work. Whenever I hold up these plates and talk about these being parents, the room always gets quiet. We laugh at the platter, we giggle at the small saucers, but these plates, you see, they represent for all of us, because we're still spinning these plates. We still spin the plates of working with our parents, even if they're long gone. Even if your parents have passed years ago, you're still spinning that plate. We were in Greece just a couple weeks ago, or this last week, and there were a couple different times I thought about my mom, even during that trip. And my mom's been gone for 27 years. We still spin memories. We still spin those things. You see, the plate, the old plates, they represent the parents, but these plates hold their value because of the time and memory that's there. They might be chipped, they might be cracked. My plate is cracked. The one that my daughter holds up, the one my son spins, it's definitely cracked. I've not been a perfect parent, far from it. There's been a lot of struggles for my children, so they're spinning a plate that's very, very cracked. It's got some chips, but they're still spinning them. For many of us, these plates were difficult to spin, our parent plates. Then began, we need to continue to hold them, and we need to continue to spin those plates. Oftentimes we believe that once our parents have died and they've gone on and we've finished and put them in the grave or in the columbarium or whatever, we wrap our hands and we say, good, we're done, and it's not done. There's still more that will still continue to be part of who we are for the rest of our lives. Throughout Scripture, both in the Old Testament and the New Testament, and that's what I find to be fascinating, we're told over and over and over again, we're commanded actually to honor our parents. In fact, it's the only commandment that has a promise to it. It says, honor your father and your mother, that you'll be blessed and live long on the earth. Long and enjoy full life, many of the scriptures will say. And I believe believe that honoring our parents is something that has made a huge difference on mine as I was, and I'll share with you on how I actually went about doing that in bringing honor and glory to my own parents. There are many ways to honor our parents. There are many ways. Spending quality time is a very important one, and we can do that while they're alive. We can spend quality time with them. I sit back and think of some of my favorite times with Mark's mom. I was very close to her. Spending some real quality time in the last few weeks of her life. I will never forget any of those conversations. Creating special memories. I know Mark took his mom to England a few years ago, and they had this special memory of walking through the streets of a place that is important in their heritage, but also really important for Mark. Hearing choirs and different groups singing that were important for Mark. That is something that Mark will always have with him for the rest of his life. But there are many ways to be able to create that honor. I think caring for our parents. I had the honor of being able to be with Jean when she passed away a couple weeks ago. It was a privilege. It was the most beautiful experience I've experienced. I've actually been with 5 different family members who have passed. But there's something very special about being with Jean. Her passing was so peaceful because she knew exactly what was going on and where she was going, and there was just no fear there. And she also died having spent quality time with all 3 of her boys just a couple of days before. And it was like right after she had that wonderful day with her 3 boys, that's when she all of a sudden deteriorated so terribly. Within 48 hours she was gone. We have many different ways we can honor our parents, but I'm going to give you a very tangible way to honor parents. Even if your parents have already died, it's not too late to honor them in this way. For some of you, this may be your next Christmas gift to your parents. The mission organization that I worked with was called Family Life. It created a teaching series that was turned into a book called The Tribute. And I'm not going to go through that whole teaching series because that would take hours and hours and hours, but the concept is that you take as much time as you need to be able to collect all your thoughts and your memories and your special moments together, and you put them together in a way in writing so that you're actually putting them to print. You do this not only for the person you're going to be sharing them with, your parent, but you do this it's in print so that your children who come behind will see that you actually done it as well. Then, once you've collected all those memories together, those concepts together, the thoughts that you love about that particular person, the things that they contributed in your life in a powerful way, then you put them together. You either bind them in a book, or you frame them in a special frame, or somehow collect them, put them together. I've seen a woman who took all of those favorite memories and she created poetry. That's just not my forte. But that's the way she did it. It was so honoring to her parents. We also recommend that you do it to each parent, not to your parents together, but you do them separately, because there's very different stories that would be presented to each one. When I first heard of this concept, I was only a few months from leaving my job as a teacher in Hallsville, Washington, and joining the staff of Family Life in Little Rock. I knew I would be teaching this part of this series with others around the world, and I knew that I needed to do just as what I was going to be teaching people to do, is to be able to honor my mom. And it was without a shadow of a doubt, I know I needed to do it. The prompting of the Holy Spirit was so clear. When I first heard of the idea of the tribute, my mom was actually struggling with breast cancer herself, very similar to what Jean experienced. I knew without a doubt I needed to write the tribute. It took me only a couple of days to collect all my thoughts together. I spent a lot of quality time in prayer and reflection. And I collected all the thoughts, and I went to go visit my mom in the hospital. She was undergoing a very difficult procedure to help her. It became an experimental procedure to help her to not only get remission for herself, but the purpose of this experimental treatment was for the future of cancer treatment. They said that about a third of the people who underwent this procedure would go into remission. They didn't know how long, but they needed to go into remission. The other third, it did nothing for them. And with the other third, they said within 2 to 3 weeks, that person would die. Mom had received a blessing from us as a family to be able to put together, for her to actually do this procedure. And it was a hard decision, but we knew that we only had months with her at the longest, so why not give it a try? My mother was also a woman of faith, and she says, I've got nothing to lose. Nothing to lose. But if it could help future generations of women, then I want to help. Little did I know that my mom would actually pass away just a couple weeks later. I didn't know it when I went in. My mom couldn't speak. Her mouth was full of sores, and she wrote, I can't speak. And I said, good. My mom, she was quite a talker. I wonder where I get it from, right? But she makes me look quiet. And she couldn't talk. And I said, Mom, I'm not here to talk. Even to have a conversation. I'm here for me to speak to you. And I pulled up my papers and a script that I'd scribbled, and I shared with her my favorite memories of the past 34 years. That was the most amazing half an hour I've ever spent with my mom. There were tears on both sides, and we laughed and we giggled, and it was a special, special time. The bond that was created that day was really special. Like I said, she passed away a couple weeks later. I did not know that at the time, but that's what actually happened. And when she passed, of course I was sad, but I had no regrets, because I knew that I'd done everything to be able to build and to honor my mom through the years, even through the difficult times. A few weeks later, I actually put it in writing and actually went to her graveside, read it again, burned a copy there, and left it on the grave. I wanted to leave something on the grave much more valuable than a bouquet of flowers. Today, I am thankful for hearing about the tribute and listening to the promptings of the Holy Spirit that said, do this now, do this today, don't delay, do it. And when I was all done with it, I remember going like this, and thank God I did it. I honored my parents. And again, the prompting of the Holy Spirit said, no, hold on a second, you've got two parents. I remember wrestling with God saying, yeah, but you were there. I can't honor this man. He was a monster. He hurt Mom. He abused us with alcoholism and drug addiction. I can't honor him. And the second scripture that Diane read, kept coming to me over and over again. It's not mine to avenge. You've asked him for forgiveness. He's asked you for forgiveness. You need to move through that. If you truly forgive him, that means you give up the right of punishment. Why wouldn't you honor him? He's still your father. And I read through the scriptures over and over again. It says honor your parents. It didn't say honor your good ones. It said honor your mother, honor your father. And I thought, I can't. Later on, the can't turned to I won't. And I realized that was disobedience. And I did. I decided I needed to do it. It took me a long time. In fact, it took me months to go through that process. I kept carrying around, I hate things in my pockets, but I kept carrying around a small pen and a note card, because I didn't know if I had a memory of Dad, something that was good. If I didn't write it down, I'd forget it. You see, when you grow up in a dysfunctional, abusive home, as many of us in this room did, you forget all the memories of the past. We do that as to self-preservation. But oftentimes we throw out the good as well as the bad, and there's no memories there at all. And so as I unpacked the memories with my dad, there were times when something would come up and I'd write it down really quick and I'd put it in a drawer and I want to come back to them later to collect all of our thoughts. An example, we took our kids to Disneyland, and one morning I saw my children ordered these special pancakes in the shape of Mickey Mouse face. Just this one big pancake with two small pancakes. And I remember laughing and giggling and thinking, oh, that is so wonderful, they just loved it. And it brought me back a memory of a Christmas where my dad made green and red pancakes for us as children. And I remember laughing and thinking that the red ones tasted really good, but the green ones tasted awful. It was just food coloring, but that's what was my memory. And I remember sitting back and laughing and thinking, oh my gosh, yeah, I need to write that down. Then my memory says, yeah, my dad was probably drunk at the time. But that's not the point. He went on his way to be able to do something for his children. It took me months to collect and compile all of these bits and bobs of memories about my father. And then I put them all on one sheet of paper, and I had a lot of people look at it. I had a lot of people help edit with me. I even took it to my therapist for his ideas. It was very therapeutic to write. I knew that that following Christmas we were going to come back up to Tacoma and have Christmas together. And we were going to do it during a gift exchange. After all the presents were opened, I reminded my son that there was still one present underneath the Christmas tree. And he got excited because he thought it was for him. I said, Danny, it's for Grampy. And Dad said, what? So Danny handed it to his Grampy, and he opened it. He said, can I open it now? I says, yeah. And at first my dad thought that it was something that I purchased at the store. But then when he saw the line, Mr. Ed, my dad, he knew that it was something that had been written for him. Because my dad was called Mr. Ed. That was his nickname at the store that he worked. At first glance, again, he thought that it was something that was not important, but he read it, he started reading. I asked him to read it aloud, and I saw a transformation on the old man's face as he read the tribute. I'd like to read a selection of it to you. I remember as a child watching you at work as you would skillfully fit shoes on the feet of children of all ages, sizes, and colors. They all adored you like Santa Claus as you made them feel loved and important when you played with them and squeaked their noses or toes and gave them a gentle hug. In a way of squeaking, you make the squeak noise. You were a master salesman. I love to hear them affectionately call you Mr. Ed. However, I often wondered why my daddy would come home from work but leave the fun-loving personality of Mr. Ed at the store. As I grew older, I began to resent you and emotionally started to pull away from you, mostly out of selfishness, immaturity, confusion, anger, and fear. We've had many opportunities in the past few years to discuss these feelings that were created by your alcoholism and your abuse and your emotional neglect. But very few words have ever been spoken about positive childhood memories. Instead of just blaming you for the past, it is now time for me to thank you and give you honor, because it was all of my past, both the positive and the negative moments, which have molded me together to make me the person I am today. I fondly remember numerous pre-dawn fishing trips to Silver Lake. I loved climbing into the rowboat and using the black and white fishing pole with the red stripes, as you would row us around the lake all morning. I loved seeing the mist rise from the water's glass-like surface, the majestic view of the mountains at daybreak, and drinking hot chocolate back at the dock's cafe that had a red fox as a pet. We always cut our limits with the help of triple teasers and dip nights. I now appreciate the sacrifices you made, both financially and in the lack of sleep, to always ensure a magical Christmas morning we never went without. Santa was always very generous. The thought of you making ready green pancakes still makes me laugh inside. You were, and still are, my favorite golf pro. I remember caddying for you and Ralph Giovanni many Saturday mornings, and I was more proud of my father after each tournament you won. Each trophy seemed so tall to little me. I remember the time you came to Lakewood General Hospital after I had an accident and almost ripped off my left arm. I felt safe by having both you and Mom by my side. I needed you, and you were there. You've given me a special love and appreciation for the outdoors, and the ability to be able to see beautiful and see beautiful views, the sound of the river, or the breeze, the trees, or the color of autumn. You taught me through example to honor and respect my elders, to establish a strong work ethic, and to complete a task with excellence. Many of these qualities are best exemplified by your ongoing recovery since your stay at Sunrunner Ranch. I want to thank you for never divorcing Mom. Those 39 years that you stayed together were rough on both of you. This set an example that is priceless in this world of easy outs. Thanks for staying committed to her until the end of her life. I know that you both really did love each other, even though it seemed impossible at times. I'm proud of how you have grown spiritually and emotionally these past few years. You are now developing a positive legacy for your 4 children and 10 grandchildren. I I've recently enjoyed developing a healthy one-on-one relationship with you that I pray will continue to develop even more with time. You are a fantastic grandpa, and I rejoice to see my kids love and adore you. You made them feel loved and important, just as you did all those other children years ago that would call you Mr. Ed. I love you, Dad. It was hard to write. It wasn't easy in any way, shape, or form. I just wanted to keep going back to, but you did this, but you did this, but you were drunk, but. And I kept thinking, no, that's not what this is all about. It's not about you, Stan, it's about Dad. I was told that evening, when Dad got into the truck to go home, he handed a tribute to my stepmom, and she was told to hold it in her lap, not even put it down. When he got home, he took this item, and he took it off of her lap and carried it upstairs and never even put it down. He took a picture in the living room off of the wall, and he hung this in its place. It was something of great value to him. Through the years, he's had many people read it, including, I know, the telephone repairman and the cable guy had to read this. I don't know what he ever did to those ties that I gave him at Christmas or the other stuff, but I do know what he did with this. The tribute made all the difference in our relationship. Again, by him going and getting drug and alcohol treatment, yeah, that helped him studying all these different things that he did. We were starting to be guided in the right direction before the years of him passing. But it opened the door to many difficult discussions about my childhood, which never would have happened if I hadn't shared so openly with him in the tribute. Folks, it's never too late to write a tribute. In fact, I'm in the process of writing one for my mother-in-law, Jean, who passed away only last month. I honored her in so many ways during her life. But I feel I need to put things in writing. I need to put words together. You know, in your song that you sang, the second verse, it talks about what are we going to see when hopes and dreams and memories are all past and our children sift through all the things we left behind. Mark and I have had the honor and the responsibility to do that a couple weeks for Jean. And it's amazing to see what she collected. Mostly it's things about her children. She was a very, very simple person, but she collected a lot of pictures and memories and newspaper clippings, things like that. It was fascinating to be able to see the things that were important. It was very obviously she was a woman of faith. And it was we sift through those things. What are your children going to find when they sift through your belongings when you're gone? I titled this talk, Honor Legacy. You see, I believe that I model for my children, the fifth commandment, which is to honor your father and mother. I've honored my parents in many ways through the years, but this is the one that my children remember. This is the one that my children remember, and if they do forget, when I'm gone, they'll find it, and they'll be able to have it and remember, oh yeah, do you remember what happened? Do you remember what Dad did? Remember that situation? I received a Father's Day card from my daughter just a couple of weeks ago. And in it, she speaks about how I've helped her to navigate life and to make a difference for the Lord. She talks about the things that I did to be able to make a difference. And I believe it's things like the tribute that allows my daughter to have memories of things that now make a difference in what she's looking to do for her own children. I'll leave you with two thoughts. What kind of legacy are you leaving? And what can you tangibly do to honor your parents? It's never too late.